Well, today, come and join us. We're doing building a culture of success, and it's, yes, about our athletes, but on a bigger scale, it's really more about our young men and women and what we're doing beyond, outside of athletics, and who better than Bobby's wrestling coach to bring him back in from high school. And so make sure you stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more in. If you're not already subscribed, do so now. Join us in episode 59 of the Strength of America podcast.
The Strength of America podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back. Episode 59 of Strength of America podcast. Yes, this is for your athletes, but a bigger part is for your coaches to help them understand, corralling, getting them in. We all want to get better athletes, build them into it, but really building a culture when you get your athletes really involved so they can figure out, they know what the expectations are, they know what they have to do. It just makes the program run so much smoother as you get in there, and that means academics as well. So Bob Davis here with Bobby, and we're lucky enough to have Coach DiDomenico, or Coach D, as we always know him, as Bobby's high school wrestling coach, who was a big part in really building Bobby and where he's at today, and understanding what's expected, what you need to do, and sometimes getting a 2x4 on the head to get his job done. See, he's good at that. So, Coach, I think one of the biggest things we had is of course, we met you coming in. Bobby was junior high. You had just started over at Red Mountain High School at that point, which transitions happening, all kinds of things going on, and of course we've got boosters, you got everything happening in there. But we were really excited once I came in and met with you about what was happening, what your expectations were, what you were really trying to do, that we just knew that's where Bobby had to be going into high school. So what are some of the things that you look at when you go in? Because now you're over at Mesa High. You can see with all the purple we're in here. We'll have some links there for there. But as you go into each of these schools and really establishing a program, what are some of the things that you look at to really help get things on track? The past is the past, but what do you do from start going in to really build it?
I think I've really been blessed with having a bigger vision to be able to see things, and then I have a game plan on how to put it together. Next step is getting good people around me to execute that game plan. I look to see, I spend a year just watching. What are the kids doing? What's their successes? What are they not doing? Where are their needs at? What's the climate or how the kids feel? Where are the deficiencies in cultures and where are the strength in the culture? And then from there I can rebuild it or add to what was happening, like here at Mesa. Part of that culture is the first thing you got to establish, and establishing a culture is tough.
Oh, yeah.
It's setting up the expectations, and my expectations have always been high. And it's not just about wrestling, because we've had a number of state finalists. Bobby's one of them, multiple state placer, multiple state champions. We've had a number of success on the wrestling mat, but establishing the culture of success outside of just the matches is really where the strength of the programs.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we brought us in, is we knew for the work ethic and establish and what was expected. That was awesome, especially looked at, coaches' playbook and what was going to happen and what was expected, and their index cards, the stuff they had to do prior to, did they hit their stuff during the matches, all the things. It wasn't just go out there and go and see what you can do, but also that one of your tags and the titles you put in with the kids all the time is, it's a workforce, right? It's not a welfare.
It's a workfare, not a welfare.
That's right. You get that into it, and understand just being there is not enough. You got to get it more. You have to do more throughout that. And you had community projects that kids were involved in. You expected them to do more, family life, everything else, and school. And tell me about like retention and why it's so important to keep these kids on with the grades, because they've got to keep a certain level or they're not on the team. That's a big part for you.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride in it. It's tough to make it through the program, and yet the tougher it is, the more the kids are involved, and the more the kids stay. We kind of build climates how the kids feel, and they feel like they're important. The culture is setting the expectations, setting the process. This is what's going to be expected of you, and we're going to hold you accountable for it. Okay, and in that is more than just showing up to practice. My 3 principles of success: show up, work hard, be coachable. But showing up isn't enough. As you're going through, even the being coachable in the wrestling part is enough. The being coachable, I leave that rule. I started that at Powell Junior High, just looking at what can you do with all the rules and put it into 6 words. Yep. And the being coachable is just listening to the coach. Just listen to coach. Okay, and part of it's not just wrestling, but also academics, family life, taking care and respect outside of the wrestling room. So that accountability is a big part of the culture, and some don't expect that. Yeah. Some kids have never been held accountable. No. But the academics, I think, has really been important. Our GPA this year at Mesa High was 2.88. We're pretty proud of that, considering our team started the season with 31 kids ineligible, and we finished with 66 out of the 68 kids eligible.
That's awesome.
We started with 74. Yeah. So we lost 8 kids too.
Yeah.
And so our retention is huge. Usually attrition rates, there's 2 windows. One at the beginning of the season where you lose about 23%. And then over Christmas you lose another 23% of your new alpha.
Sure.
And we lost 8 all season.
That's
People
awesome.
like to be a part of this. But again, it's the culture that we have, and that culture of feeling belonged. Yeah. Feeling that this is much bigger than themselves. And it's much bigger than me too. I'm just carrying the torch right now. I'll pass it on when I retire to someone else to hopefully keep it going. But that accountability, that culture, that showing up isn't enough. It's a work fair. You got to actually work to do what you need to do. Don't just be here and expect us to give it to you. Yeah. And that means the grades too. Yeah. And we can talk about that in a little bit as we're going through. I'll talk about our grade process.
That's great. And I haven't worked with kids but for a handful of years now. But I've realized, even being at a different school, and kids academically have a whole different load, and trying to implement more into athletics and wanting them to be more involved. And I found that even with their hefty academic schedule, they still thrive on structure and accountability. Yeah. The kids like it. If they know that you care and you want to be around them and you want to get them better, and that there's more to be done, and they start to buy into that. But the moment that you don't hold them to higher standard, that's when they just skate by. They're not too worried about doing the extra things. So it's very interesting. And I remember that back in the day, and man, we used to. I still remember when you told us we had about, what was that, like 120 kids that one year?
We finished with 103.
Jeez. Yeah. What a program. Gosh. So that just speaks volumes, especially for wrestling. You think football, and that's that's not a problem to get numbers like that. But for wrestling, it's people want to be out and a part of it.
Well, if you remember your sophomore year, we had 22 kids.
Yeah.
So in a few years, we built it from 22 to 106. Yeah. Actually, it was 106. Wow. And out of the 106, 103 out of the 106 were eligible.
Well, like you said, sticking with that and then going through the whole year. I mean, it's not like wrestling is a hangout sport. I mean, they're busting, they're working all the way through, and they expect more throughout the season. And kids, I've always felt, no matter what their age is, they need to know what their limitations, what the goals are, and they've got to have these barriers as they go through it. If there's no restrictions and they just have to be there, we know what happens. They just slowly start working out, and it's not that big of a deal. But you expect more from them. The ones that will get it and understand the big picture, they'll give it to you.
They'll rise. They'll rise to it. And kids want to please. Yeah. They want to work hard. They want the structure, Bobby, as you said. They just want the accountability. They want the attention. Yeah. And sometimes some of the attention we have to give is putting a thumb on them, be a little negative attention, and then rephrase it afterwards as some positive reinforcement. Yeah. Okay? And then the pride comes in, hey, you made it. I'm glad. Okay, let's get our workout in right now. We're here. Yeah. And that's the way to go. It's much better. So not only do we have the encasement of the structure within the program, but then we individualize it for each kid. The kid each one belonging in his own way is kind of what makes them feel special and stays inside the program, stays in the program. There were a number of studies done in the Midwest on kids involved in high school activities with their school and the ones not involved. And I know some parents say, well, we can't make practice because we got to study and stuff. Well, the ones involved, actually, the GPA was a full 1 point higher. Yeah. They're not using those 2 hours to go home and study algebra. However, if they have to be held accountable because coach is checking grade reports, I do that every Monday, or I got to make the lineup, so I better be eligible there. And their teammates are on them saying, hey, did you get your homework done? Did you pass the algebra test? Did you do your English paper? Did you do your creative writing, Eric? That helps them feel belonging and accountable, and actually ups their grades. Yeah. And I'm not just on them for the kids going from an F to a D. I'm also on them from if you got an 86, what can we do to bring that up to an A? Yeah. What can we do to that? Because GPAs matter. We talk about options for the future. Not everyone has to go wrestle in college. And we have some, and you are a college wrestler. We have quite a few people, actually. Coach Williams and I put more people in college through wrestling than all the other programs in Mesa combined.
Wow.
Yeah, but that shows that us, again, good people around me, but we stay on that. Your GPA, it opens up windows. One of our biggest windows for the GPA was Anthony Robles. Went to ASU on an academic scholarship, not athletic. Yeah. Then he earned the athletic down the line, but without the academic, he wouldn't be
That's
the
huge.
empty
Yeah, I
room
didn't
that we all
realize
know
that.
about.
That's awesome.
You know?
That's awesome. Yeah, because most don't even think about that, and that's where we talk with kids all or trying to get them early enough to understand about the academics. That, you know, what they're doing and getting ready for college. They want to go and they want to compete. There's a lot of great athletes. But that coach out there doesn't need just another great athlete. They're easy to find those,
right.
But who's not going to be the problem? They're checking their social media stuff. They're taking a look at their grades, what's happening, the big picture. And it's easy. You've got a group of them, you know, trying to get into your college to wrestle or whatever they're doing. Boy, you start just looking through those, and Bobby found that out early enough. And then we're just starting with all of the social media at that time. But it was big reminders of what you do. We talked to the kids when I was, you know, conditioning the kids over the Red Mountain and working with them. And, you know, you're going to be out at that party and what you're doing. That was one of the things. I don't care what you've got that red Solo cup. If it's water, soda, that's what you have in it. What do you think that college coach is going to see when they see you standing there with it? So I'd rather I don't want you drinking Coke, but grab that can of Coke if that's what you want. You know, but do not put it in a red Solo cup.
No, you guys used to have that little fun with this and hashtag no red cups or something.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I found that out later. I loved it. That was part of the culture you guys had.
Yeah.
And you know something, that's great. I think my programs are always known for, you know, try to do the right thing. You're not going to be perfect, but do the right thing. Our language is clean. That's just something really simple for attention to detail and self-respect. Yep. Have a clean language, not only here, but also when we're competing in the tournaments. And I've gotten actually more positive feedback from parents I don't even know and administrators I don't know, because our team acts correctly.
Yep.
They have fun with each other and act correctly. There is no language. There's no vulgarness.
Awesome.
This is what they hear.
Sure.
And it stands out. And actually, our teams take pride of that.
Yeah.
You know, I remember that you say about the social media. It was right up against this wall here. I had a sit down with one of our wrestlers in 2005 with MySpace. You guys can look that up at the History Channel.
MySpace, yeah.
And he had some inappropriate stuff on his MySpace thing. We were checking this. I had a little talk with him about it and said, hey, this is what's representing you. So you don't want that representation, okay? And then now it's all the other social media. What are you tweeting out? What are you putting? What's in the background? You know, it's this image on what you're trying to, who do you want people to see you to be?
Yeah.
You know?
And the more they start surrounding that way, that's the way it becomes. They're not being fake because they're not posting it. It's just they realize, man, I'm being watched everywhere it's going on. I'm representing the school. I'm representing me, my family. I need to really step up my game and do what I need to do.
And that representation goes with also dress.
Yep.
Remember, we always wore Red Mountain stuff. Here, whenever we're traveling, we're representing Mesa High.
Yep.
You know, you don't wear your own stuff. We're not, you know, the David DiDomenico wrestling program. It's Mesa High. It's Red Mountain, and that's what you dress, that's what you represent, and that representation, they don't know who you are. They just see Red Mountain across your chest and say, oh, those Red Mountain kids. Or they say, wow, darn it, those Red Mountain kids, pretty classy. You know, those Mesa High kids, I thought it was a little different. They were pretty nice kids. You know, and that's what you're trying to represent, and that's the bigger part of what you are a part of. You know? I think that's huge, and the kids have to be taught that. They're aware, but they're not really held accountable. You know, and then now we're just having one more adult just to help them with that. And that goes with the other adults I bring in to coach with our kids. I just don't let anybody in the room. I'm pretty protective. And I want good role models. I can go find up and down Southern Avenue 15 people can show a double leg. So what? But I need them to be a good role model and be able to do whatever technique we have. And I have some great people in there. Heck, in my staff right now at Mesa, I got two-time Olympian Melvin Douglas. I got Tommy Ortiz, a former head coach at ASU. I got Bobby Williams, you know, Hall of Fame coach. I mean, I've surrounded myself with fantastic people that are fantastic role models that have been to the highest levels, that can now translate and teach that to our kids and mentor. And we're all different personalities, so the kids will gravitate the same. But as coaches, we all say the same message, and that message helps reinforce the culture that we have. And the kids in their climate, how they feel, they don't like every moment, because who likes being told, hey, listen, straighten up, you can't be doing this, sit up, get off your elbow, you know, where's your Mesa stuff, go get your Mesa shirt, you know, sometimes. But in their heart, they're like, hey, you paid attention to me. I got attention. And whether it's coming from someone like Melvin Douglas or me or even my head girls coach, Amber Barris, that's something the kids like. And that helps with their self-respect.
Well, that's a big part. I think Coach D is talking about is surrounding yourself with the right people, because that head coach, you've got your mission, you've got your thing going, but you don't always connect with every one of those kids the same way. The wrestlers were unique people, and we've got a lot of, that's a special thing over there, Liz, on the side as we get a little eye rolling on there. But, you know, we each need something a little bit different, and all of our kids do, and that's fine, and that's why, even some days, and that's why it was great when, Sandy was with me out there in the field, because she was always the one to help keep mellow. Bob could fire up and go, and then I could move, and Sandy would help get them back where they needed to be, and everything's okay. So finding out what those things are and understanding, certain days, like you said, the thumb on's good. Other times, that's not what they need. They need just, hey, let's go step into the room without the division of people watching. Let's find out what's really going on, because these kids have got, there's a lot of kids out there that have single family. You have no idea what's going on in these families, and there's so many things going on in problems. We have to understand that. We can't always think, okay, well, I had a two-parent household. Mom was home with me. We had all of this. They don't all have that, so they need things a little bit different, and we have to be aware of that as coaches. And that pressure on at times can be done different ways, but the respect of doing it at the same time too, and understanding it's not just pounding on them. So make sure you're surrounded and your coaches are doing that. You've got the people to do it. It may be just parents. I mean, that was one of the things we always encouraged when we're coaching or I'm doing things. They say, well, we don't have enough staff, we don't have to do things. I can guarantee you've got a parent there that's trying to nose in and do something, and if you can give them a responsibility of something, within the guidelines, you're still the coach and say what happens, but give them that responsibility. They'll either say yeah, or they'll say, oh yeah, sorry, I'll back off and go back in the other room. Either way, you'll start finding the people you need to help and find that resource, but it's important to find those and get into it.
I was really privileged to have a tremendous booster club and parent support at Red Mountain, and I've really built that over here too. I've got a great booster club with quality people, and people I can trust and rely on and say, hey, I need this, or hey, I got to do this part. Right. And I know I can pass the ball, and I know they'll get it done in the right way. They're good. They have good souls. They care about the entire program, not just their boy that's wrestling. And that's important.
Yeah.
That altruistic feeling, that they all possess. And
Well, it's fantastic. I think that's great. It's good stuff. Training,
that's awesome.
Get in. All right. Hey, want to remind you before we get into it, coming up, speaking about building a culture and doing things beyond just yourself and family and your community. April 25th, we'll have the link in there for that as well. Mike Thompson, our outstanding football speed camp. Unfortunately, we lost Mike Thompson a couple of years ago, and he was such a big part in building great football players and helping with that. But boy, it was a constant thing like Coach D about, well, what are you doing at home? What are you doing for your family? What's going on with your grades? That bigger community, so that they understand most of these kids after high school aren't going to be competing in athletics anymore, but they're going to be representing their families for a long time. So that camp is a fantastic free camp for you. It is, yes, football speed, but we've got wrestlers, we've got other programs, boys and girls that come out for that program. So we'll have the link. Definitely get out for that event and learn more about not only speed training and power and learning how to eat, but about giving back to the community as well. So Coach D, I really want to thank you for taking the time. I know he's extremely busy, just finished a successful high school season again, and now you're already into the freestyle. You got all things going on.
I'll be in the room in a little bit.
Summer camp. So we'll have links for Coach D and the Mesa Wrestling program, so you can find out more about that and see about their upcoming summer camps, which are just great all around on just building a culture and figuring out what the kids need to do.
And if the coaches want to contact me and pick my mind, I didn't go into detail in my process on how we get done, but I'll be happy to share whatever they need.
Yeah, and that's perfect. And that's a big thing we'll get into. And that's just family, just expanding whatever we can do to help each other get better and give our kids our best is what we're after. All right, thanks again for being a part of it. We will see you next time on the Strength of America podcast, and we'll see you April 25th at the football speed camp. All right, I got it almost there. Carry on. Thanks.